Procedure is not a requirement. So auditor will check past interview and to show evidence on your records. Mean the format you change. Either drawing or engineering change report. Okay, or your procedure change on the records. And usually when you audit there is not any major change, there is no change, then during interview see no change, then we will only write down as a not any change that can affect QMS at this moment. That's all. Then if any changes, you make sure the process flow you have changed. Okay, then you change your procedure, work instruction, etc. Now we continue clause 7. Clause 7 means support. Support. And clause 7 you have 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4 until 7.5. Then 7.1 resource, 7.2 competent training, 7.3 awareness on the QMS awareness, then 7.4 communication, 7.5 documented information, DCC control. Let me review 7.1 resources. 7.1 resources will break to 7.11 general resource, 总则, and 7.1.2 people, your employee. Then 7.1.3 infrastructure. Infrastructure will cover on your maintenance, your machine, your equipment, preventive maintenance and breakdown maintenance. 7.1.4 is the environmental for the production, your services development. Then the 7.1.5 monitoring and measuring resource in your calibration. 7.1.6 organization knowledge. Organization knowledge is the necessary operation QMS and process. You need to have a certain process, you need to have a special technical people. So this one, the knowledge is very important. Experience. Knowledge here will cover on experience. Knowledge should be maintained and made available when necessary, as necessary. So 7.1.1 general, you need to provide a necessary resource in order to support the QMS. Then you take into account the current resource, the existing resource and their capability and constraint. Then you take into account the need for use of external providers. So mean you can do subcontractor, take subcontractor or temporary worker in order to provide necessary service not available inside the company. Certain process sometimes you can total sub or you hire a subcontractor to do the services. That is for 7.1.1 general for resource. 7.1.2 people, employee. You provide suitable people for effective operation of the QMS and processes. You have hire the people for relevant department unless some people can cover for many department. Okay, if your company grow big, then you have to make sure the relevant department will be covered with a suitable resource. 7.1.3 Infrastructure. You need to provide and maintain the infrastructure necessary to the functioning of the process in order to achieve conformity of products and services. Example, your building, the plant, the building, equipment, or you have a transport. Transport also infrastructure, your hardware and your software. So this one is covered under infrastructure. Their breakdown maintenance and also their preventive maintenance need to be considered. 7.1.4 Process Development. You need to provide and maintain suitable environment necessary to the functioning of the processes in order to achieve conformity of products and services. Example, a corporate culture, work atmosphere, you have temperature, economics. So mean that the work area you consider the ventilation, workbench, the temperature, either you need aircon or no need aircon. And also the culture of the works, also the noise level. You need to make sure it's control. Understand? 7.11, 7.12, 7.13, 7.14. It's very simple. And as mentioned just now, we have a procedure to cover it's inside procedure MR. Procedure P04 management, and we have a SOP to cover resource. 711 resource general, so you refer to your SOP para 5.2.1. General mean the company management should determine and provide a timely manner the resource need, so that they can run the QMS system and continuous improvement effectively and meet customer requirements. And you also have para 5.2.2 people. Mean the company had to ensure that provides sufficient staffing for effective operation of QMS, as well the processes. Staff members perform work affecting product quality are competent on the basis of education, training, skill, and experience. So this one is a people. So during audit, the 711 general, there is not necessary to have maintain documented information. You not necessary to have a SOP. During audit, you also no need to have records, but you have to show at least evidence. You have records, it's better. You show the evidence, internal, external resource. You need to show the evidence. Okay. So could be your employee list, your employee list you need to show, and also your external resource list. You are using external resource. 7.1.1. During audit, you need to show the evidence to the auditor. 7.1.2 is regarding the people, employee, and you also no need a SOP, but you need to show the records. Record your verified department organization chart, and also the employee, you have their position. Okay. So now we're going through the 7.1.3 infrastructure in your facility equipment, transportation, etc., the maintenance and preventive maintenance. So management will determine the provide maintain the facility need to achieve the product conformity and service conformity. So you need to provide the workspace and associate facility, equipment, hardware, software, if necessary, and support service such as transport, communication, or information system. Sometimes you need IT. IT also infrastructure, communication, handphone, walkie-talkie. So equipment is maintained as per preventive maintenance instruction. So under the same SOP, that for infrastructure you have a special SOP under the project folder P03 maintenance. You have a SOP for preventive maintenance, and there's a flow chart on the preventive maintenance. So during audit you have to show records for preventive maintenance. You have a master list for your equipment, master list. Then preventive maintenance you have a checklist. Okay, then you have a external maintenance report if necessary. Example, your compressor, your external service, or you have a the Jira service report you need to maintain. Okay, any question? So records for maintenance, example, you have weekly preventive maintenance routing checklist or daily maintenance routing checklist. Okay, if weekly, then you have all 52 work week. Then you have maybe 2 pages or 1 pages, and you list down what's the checking criteria for the specified machine. One machine, one checklist. Okay, you have one compressor, then compressor A, what's the checklist? So you come up a checklist. Okay, then compressor B, then compressor B got one checklist. Each machine or each equipment you have their own checklist. Then you have a preventive maintenance master list to list down all the machine you have. So what is the requirement? Requirement, you have to make sure you have a records to be maintained. You need to have maintained the record. SOP is not necessary, but normally a consultant will provide you all the SOP for maintenance. But records is important. Audit mainly will check on your report. Okay, records. But your procedure maybe they going through the process flow interview, maintenance records or record. Okay. So next coming is 7.1.4 on the environmental for operation of processes. Management will provide a clean, safe working environment. The management will manage the work environment. Example, proper lighting. Some production floor, normally they will make sure they test the lighting minimum 800 the lux level. You test the lux for the lighting minimum 800, especially for inspection, checking, visual check error. And the workbench, there is a proper workbench for the perform the work. Low noise area. If high noise, then you have to wear maybe a plug, and maybe the work routine will be every 4 hours changing the different people. And also to take care the safety of the equipment, etc. if necessary, and need to achieve conformity of the product requirement. So you have to have to make sure this one normally during audit you don't have a record to show, but some they have a record for training, maybe PPE, how to wear the PPE. Then they also issue PPE, the earplug,